Hello everyone and welcome to Memory Flow, where we discuss fragrance and fragrance collecting. Today we are talking about the beginning of my fragrance journey, and I will be showing you the fragrances that kind of put me on this way, that kind of inspired me enough to love fragrances and to start collecting them, and also to educate myself on the subject. Now, if only you could see what I have here gathered on my desk. So there are a lot of them. I won't be detailing them because most of them are fragrances that I've already talked about, but I find it very interesting and nostalgic for the most part, at least for me. So the very first fragrance that I ever bought when I was 18 or 19 or somewhere along this age was Obsession for Men. Now imagine that I went into a perfumery, into a fragrance shop, and I thought this was the best thing ever when I smelled this. So mind you, for most of them I had no idea what different notes were. I didn't understand much about fragrance and how they are made and how an architecture works, but even so I thought this was impossibly gorgeous. This is an amber. I had no idea what ambers were, but I had an inkling towards some resins. But what I loved about Obsession for Men, and also about the female counterpart, Obsession, should I say the original fragrance, because these two make a lovely pair. They are just this one is born out of out of Obsession. It's just the lighter version of it, and also I find that it's I wear this a lot more often. This is my third or my fourth bottle. I really don't know. It's hard keeping track of them because even from the first time, this is a fragrance I've been rebuying religiously because I cannot imagine myself without this. This is a fragrance I love to this day. But what I loved about this was the metallic aspect, and of course the spices. This is very spicy. It has this beautiful cinnamon, which indeed you can smell. The male one, the male marketed one, is much more cinnamony than the female one. This is indeed sweeter and even more ambery, but both of them are just gorgeous. This is much more of a mood scent for me. It's much more difficult to wear, and it's also much more powerful. So yeah, I do prefer the male version just because it's lighter and it's easier to wear most of the days. When I actually wore this today, and this is the reason why I decided to make this video, because I just felt so nostalgic, because this is the fragrance that started it all. So the very next fragrance that I bought was this one. This is a fragrance not most people talk about. This is a creation of Jean-Pierre Betouard, a perfumer I know next to nothing about, but I recently did find another perfume of his creation, which was Parfum Sacré by Caron. This is also a fragrance that I truly love. Now, where are you? I just filmed this the Romanian version of this video, and I want to use the same blotter, so I remembered I applied this on the skin. My God, this is beautiful. This is the very same bottle. I have only a few, maybe I have 10 milliliters left here. I don't know. Fortunately, I do have a spare 50 milliliter unopened bottle. This wasn't cheap, but it wasn't that much of an expensive scent on eBay to buy. Now, what's beautiful about this Nemo de Cacharel, beautiful about this, this is a simple scent. It's nothing to write home about. Maybe it has this lovely complexity that once you get to know the fragrance, just surprises you of how complex it is. But it's actually a woody, sweet, spicy, fresh fragrance, and it is the freshness that I truly enjoy. It's spicy freshness, with cardamom and nutmeg, and a beautiful leather accord, that you can't find this type of leather accord in perfumery. It's quite similar, so it's kind of the same leather note you can find in Cartier's Declaration, but that's mostly it, because the fragrances are they're wide apart. They're not similar, unfortunately. So there's nothing quite the same as Nemo de Cacharel, which is a shame, because it's a fragrance I would have loved more of you could get to know, because it's so lovely. It's such a comfort scent for me, and there's so many memories in this fragrance. It's very vivid whenever I smell it. I'm just there. I know I'm there. I know where I was. I know where I bought it from. Lovely. Now next, I think this is the very next fragrance, but I'm not sure. After the second fragrance, it all gets a bit muddy, a bit cloudy in my mind, so I don't remember all of them in the correct order, but mostly I think this was one of them. This is BVLGARI's Aqva pour Homme, and to this day, this is a fragrance I find to be most unique for the smell of algae. There isn't a fragrance quite like it. There isn't something quite like it today on the market, and it's because of this fragrance I loved marine fragrances, mind you, not aquatic fragrances, because there's a difference. In order for a fragrance to be marine, you have to have this, it's not just the ambergris. You have to find, or the ambroxan, you have to have this clear algae smell, and this one has it. It's just beautiful. It's so there. It's green. It's bitter. It's and it has that, because BVLGARI have they kind of have this common notes throughout their whole perfumes, their entire portfolio, which is very Mediterranean. They're very crystal clear, and they're very refined, because they are a jewelry house. And in Aqva pour Homme, you can definitely tell that they are a jewelry house. And this is very sexy. This is one of the fragrances I forgot to include on my sexy fragrances list, and this is a shame, but it's here now. I talked about it now, so it's okay. And also I find that it is the absolute best of its flanker family. This has lots of flankers, but there's quite nothing like the original, and I have smelled many of their flankers, and they are sad. They are very sad, because they do not compare to the original. I don't know how the original is today. I think I smelled it at some point, and I think it has some longevity problems. The old one didn't have any longevity problems. This is not a terribly old bottle, but it's still old. This is reformulated. This is, I think, at least the second reformulation. But I do have an older bottle, but it's just it's mostly empty, because I will show you some empty bottles also today, because I never throw away anything. This reminds me of a comment on Reddit. I read that us collectors and reviewers, YouTube reviewers, are sociopathic hoarders, And let me tell you, this is not very far from the truth. I don't know about the sociopathic part, but we are definitely, some of us are. So there is a hoarding component in all of this. That part is kind of true. So another one maybe from the very first, maybe when my collection or my rotation had something like 4 or 5 fragrances. This is Thierry Mugler's A Men or Angel Men, how this used to be called, because indeed this is how I knew it, this is how I got to know it, with the name of Angel Men. This is not a very old bottle, this is, but even so it's quite old because it's Thierry Mugler, not Mugler. I love this fragrance. There it is. I had no idea back then what patchouli was. I had no idea. But I found that this fragrance was hard to describe, and I still find that it is quite hard to describe because it's much more than the sum of its parts. But it's something, when I first smelled it, I thought, yes, this is very different. This was indeed very audacious for a male marketed fragrance. This was very, very sweet, very syrupy. It has some vanilla touches that I could easily recognize. And also I recognize the chocolatyness of the fragrance because it's very chocolatey. Not enough for it to be a one of those gourmands that I cannot stand. This is indeed a gourmand fragrance, very much like its female counterpart, but it's not something that's I don't tend to like gourmands, especially modern gourmands. I find them very uninteresting and uninspired, and they do smell a lot more like food than they do a fragrance, which is not something that's desirable for me in a fragrance. But yeah, this indeed is very much audacious even for today's standards. There's this is very different from what you would smell in a fragrance store. Even today, it's very much unique. So yeah, and I still do enjoy today's formulation. I think it's great. I don't find many things wrong with it, but then again, I haven't smelled one recently, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. Now another fragrance is this. Where is it? This is it. This is Issey Miyake Pour Homme, l'Odyssée Pour Homme. It's just my cat. Are you gonna come up? Or are you just gonna call me to play? I can't come. Can't come now. Come up. Say hi to the people. Stop making noise. So l'Odyssée Pour Homme is a fragrance I got to know and I bought in a time when everyone was wearing Acqua di Gio cologne. That molecule was very, very popular in fragrances, both male and female ones. And this is the one that I preferred because while not identical in any way to Acqua di Gio, you can basically tell that they are inspired sort of from each other. I don't know. I think they came out at the same time. I'm not sure about the same year, but they did come out in mid 90s. So there was definitely some corporate espionage going on there. But I did prefer, and I do prefer to this day, l'Odyssée Pour Homme. I find it very inspired, fragrance, and I still love it, and I still wear it, and I cannot get enough of it. This is a white musk. I love it for its Zen architecture. This is how most Issey Miyake fragrances are. They are so easy to wear, they're so relaxing, there's nothing too demanding from any Issey Miyake I have ever smelled. It is the absolute freshness in a scent, and what I did love and found very, very interesting about it, it's its floral heart. This has a floral heart in a male marketed fragrance. It's a lily of the valley and some white flowers, and it's just great. It's just great. It's something I love. I love it. And speaking of floral hearts in male marketed scents, there's a fragrance I didn't include today because I've recently spoken of it. It's Fleur de Mal, and I won't insist here. It's great. Discontinued, unfortunately, but hey, still a great fragrance to this day. So yeah. Let's see what's next here. I have a list on my monitor because I wouldn't be able to keep track of them. This one, and you were probably expecting this one. This is Dior Homme, the EDT. This is the François de Machy's version. I do have in this empty bottle right here, I have Olivier Paul's version, but it's, as I said, it's empty. For some reason, I never had more than 50 milliliters of Dior Homme. For some reason, I want to change that. This is all I have left, guys. But they are very similar. This one has been treated with, at least this formulation has been treated with respect. There's no differences to speak of between the two, and because I also wore this recently and I saw how little I have left, I really wanted to, I searched for the l'original, for Dior Homme l'original, but I couldn't find it, and I want to find it. I want to buy it because I cannot be without Dior Homme Parfum in my collection, because Dior Homme, not Parfum, I have that one, the EDT. I just love it. It's because of this fragrance that I started to love Iris. It's because of this fragrance that I started to love leather. This is a spicy, bitter, herbal fragrance that I do find to be unique. I'm talking about the EDT, of course. It's original, it's unique. I haven't smelled anything like this to this day, and to this day I call this a masterpiece, and I will credit Olivier Polsch for this and not François de Machy, because it's only fair, because François de Machy only reworked it. It's not his fragrance as far as I know, but who knows these things. We're not very sure or on anything today. We don't know what we're talking about. This is all we know from what they tell us, so yeah. But yeah, I hope that today's version is holds up to the older one. I'm not sure, because on the website they show you so few notes. I think they list only cardamom, iris and vetiver, but this one is extremely complex. This has some green, bitter, vegetal vibes that you cannot just explain through cardamom. So yeah, also just wanted to mention that the 2020 version, I'm Your Man, is a whole different fragrance. I am not talking about that one. That one, although a beautiful scent in its own way, it's very uninspired, it's very unoriginal, it's very common. It has nothing to do with this one. This is the one you want. That's just me. If you love that fragrance, more power to you, but it has nothing to do with the older one. Now another fragrance that I will show you not even a bottle of. This is MSET. This is the middle bottle, because I did have the old bottle, but it was stolen from me. This is all I have left. It's empty box. Because they left me the box, at least. Thank you for that. This was stolen to me a while back. It's not a recent event, but since then, because this was discontinued, you couldn't find it anymore, and it was relaunched as this one, Eau d'Absolu. By the way, this is a fragrance that claims to be the very first, or one of the first fragrances in European perfumery that use oud notes, and this seems to be rather illegitimate. This is an illegitimate claim. I don't buy into that for 1 second. But to this day, I find this fragrance to be just a gorgeous amber. This is a gorgeous amber that you can't find many like this. Now this does have this uniqueness and originality to it. This was an amber that I haven't an amber like I haven't smelled before. I hadn't smelled before at that time. I think it was 2004, 2005. I don't know. I don't remember that all that well. But what I liked about this is this medicinal, almost, it reminded me of going to the dentist for some reason, but that was the oud, and I had no idea about oud at that point. But funny enough, this is a fragrance that started me, that prompted me to love vetiver of all things, because even today I find that it is one of the best vetiver orangey mandarin scents. It's just gorgeous. This has the notes here, and the notes are mandarin, oud, patchouli, labdanum, and myrrh. There is no vetiver cited on this, but this is a fragrance that does have vetiver, because you can smell it in there. I'm not crazy. Now, another empty bottle for today. There will be more. This is a fragrance I loved. This is a fragrance I loved. I forgot about it. I have it here. Oh God, I forgot about it. I used to love this fragrance. This is a flanker of Givenchy pour Homme, which is called Blue Label. As I said, this is bone dry. Well, not exactly bone dry. You can still find some of it left there. This is Blue Label, as I said. And indeed, this is a fragrance very much inspired by that genre. As I said, aquatics. This is an aquatic fougere type of smell. It is rather inspired by that Acqua di Gio vibe, but I did prefer this one again. This is very interesting because it has, as I said, it's a fougere. It has these green notes. It has some artemisia and some cardamom in there that kind of got me into appreciating green notes, culinary vibes in fragrances. Now, about Acqua di Gio, I don't want to bash Acqua di Gio or anything, but because Acqua di Gio is a fragrance that I did like. Only I found that this Givenchy was much more masculine. It had less fruity notes than Acqua di Gio, and it was just up my alley more. I don't know, I found it more suitable to me. I never had Acqua di Gio back in the day. I actually bought it. I was nostalgic, I guess. I bought it in recent years, and because I wouldn't reach for it, I just sold it. And not looking back, that's a fragrance I'm never gonna buy again, because it's not for me. It's, you know, it's a fragrance I thought I needed, but then I just outgrew. So yeah. Kouros. I never had vintage Kouros, but a roommate of mine, who I hope is watching, had it, and I just fell in love with it. This was a fragrance that was very controversial to me because it was very explicit. Of course, it's very pissy. You know, Kouros is very animalic. It's very pissy. It has that cat piss vibe to it. It's not the only one. There's many cat piss fragrances out there, and it's not something you would find attractive in a fragrance. But then again, here we are, because Kouros is very hard to resist. Kouros is just great, and it is great in this formulation as well, although it's less animalic. It's much less animalic than it used to be. Then again, it's just as nothing of its longevity has been castrated. It's just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous scent. I don't want to spray it because I will smell only Kouros, because it's that powerful. This is a very audacious scent. I love it, and it's one of the fragrances that put me on, or just opened up my love for chypres. And it is an ongoing debate whether Kouros is a chypre or a fougere. I'm not going to go into that. To me, it has that chypre architecture. It's undeniable. So yeah, the oak moss is there, guys, so I don't care. Now, another fragrance that kind of started me on my way is this one. This is L'Instant de Guerlain, the EDT. This is a fragrance that I got to buy a bit later. This is a 2013 bottle, because this was very expensive and I couldn't afford it up until much later, which is a shame, because in 2013 it was becoming increasingly rare. I remember a flanker for this one, L'Instant d'un été. My God, that was beautiful. That was gorgeous. That was very interesting. And also, of course, the L'Instant pour Homme Eau Extrême, which you couldn't find anymore, even then. But this is a fragrance I loved for its beeswax and for that cacao, smooth, chocolatey. It's the first time when I was in a fragrance shop, a fragrance store, and I thought this was as original and as interesting as this A Men was back in the day, because indeed, to this day I haven't smelled anything like it. There are some fragrances that try to emulate this sort of vibe, like Cocorico, which is also discontinued from Jean Paul Gaultier, but that was, while interesting in its own right, I've always found L'Instant de Guerlain to be better. And of course, this is what started the whole rabbit hole of Guerlain for me, because yeah, now I have this. So yeah, it's because of L'Instant de Guerlain. Now, another one is, of course, Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit for me is another empty, battered, empty bottle. It's not completely bone dry, but, well, I'm not going to wear it. I'm going to keep it like this forever. This is very sticky because this is how oily Fahrenheit used to be. This is an old bottle. This is, let me see, this is 2006, which is, it's not, I mean, it's not that old, but it is a good formulation, and this is my problem with the current Fahrenheit. So this is the fragrance that started me on the leather. One of the fragrances, because there's also Dior Homme, but this is a different type of leather than Dior Homme, unquestionably. Back then I had no idea about violets. I had no idea that this was violets I was smelling. I loved it for its gasoline smell, because this smells of petrol. So this is one of the reasons that today I love Gucci Guilty Absolute. They are not the same fragrance. They are similar only in some regards, but for the most part they're wildly different. But I do prefer, because that's the problem, I rebought Fahrenheit in I got a 2018 bottle. I think I bought it in 2018, 2018, and it just wasn't the same. Mind you, the current formulation is fine. It's just that I was so used to this one, they're not quite the same, and I did experience some longevity problems with the 2018 version, but it's still a good scent, and I didn't wear it. I wasn't reaching out for it. I guess I just outgrew it, and I gifted it to one of my friends who has much more appreciation for Fahrenheit than I do right now. But today, whenever I want this type of smell, for the gasoline I go for Gucci Guilty Absolute, and for violets, for manly violets, if there is such a thing, I go for Chamade Pour Homme. And that's it. That's my story with Fahrenheit. Maybe one day I will still buy it, I don't know, because it is a gorgeous scent. I don't think I could properly imagine myself without Fahrenheit at all, but you know, that's that. Now, where are you? This one. This pathetic little travel spray that I got in, I don't know, 2004 maybe. Gucci Pour Homme, the much regretted Gucci Pour Homme. This is all I have left of it. This is all I bought, because this was this was very expensive. I definitely couldn't afford this one, but looking back, I do regret not getting the larger bottle, if for anything else, but for the way that bottle was just gorgeous. It's one of my favorite bottles. It was the time when they would make these cubic bottles that I still love even today. I love that design. Gucci Pour Homme was one of the fragrances I loved. One of my great loves in fragrance, after this one, after Cacharel Nemo. It's a fragrance that I searched for intensely after its discontinuation. It's a fragrance I deeply regretted, but then again, it's good that we have this one, Bentley for Men Absolute. It's the same fragrance. Thankfully, Almayrak decided to repeat his formula. Fragrances are the same, and this fragrance, I loved it because it has everything. It has leather, burnt tires, it has smoky woods, it has campfires, it has spices and mineral notes, and this carbon ash, just gorgeous smell. It's just dark and brooding and mysterious and so elegant, and it's just like nothing. There's absolutely nothing that smells quite like it. There you have it. It's Gucci Pour Homme. There's a reason why people regret this fragrance so much. But yeah, if you can, do go for the Bentley for Man Absolute, because it is the same fragrance. So yeah. Now another fragrance is this tiny little miniature bottle. This is all I have. This was gifted to me by a friend. This was a fragrance. I have it right here, but I need to reapply it. this is an old bottle because this was very early discontinued. I don't think this stayed on the shelves for that long. This was Gucci Eau de Parfum, one of the most beautiful fragrance bottles ever. I didn't know back then. This is a heliotrope. I didn't know what heliotrope was. I hate myself for never buying this fragrance because I loved it. I loved it. This is very hard to describe. I guess you could say that it has the same, because it's the same kind of heliotrope that you can find in L'Heure Bleue. It's definitely inspired by L'Heure Bleue. And Molina Abanita, mostly, for the most part. They're very different, but only the heliotrope is the same. It's powdery, it's gorgeous, it's very generous, it's unrelenting. But this one is, God, this is so unique. This is bitter, vegetal, leather. It has this kind of perspiration caraway note in there, which makes it very interesting. But it's that leather. It's just, it's Gucci. It's Gucci Leather Works. Yeah, this is one of their, I think it's their best scent. I think it's the best scent Gucci ever put out there, and it was my favorite. If I could have a full bottle of this, oh, I would go for it. But yeah, I didn't buy it because back then I thought men weren't supposed to wear women's fragrances. I thought that maybe someone could tell that you were wearing a fragrance not marketed for your gender, which is incredibly stupid now. It's something I thankfully found out a few years back, and yeah, I will not make that same mistake again. But yeah, Gucci pour femme, I don't know what to call it, Gucci Eau de Parfum. This was a gorgeous scent. If you can find it, it's very rare, unfortunately. So speaking of female marketed fragrances, where are you? There you go. Magie Noire. This is a fragrance I used to go to the shelves to smell, and I just thought, maybe one day, because again, I thought this was impossible to. I thought this wasn't. I wasn't supposed to buy this. Magie Noire is great, even in this formulation. I want to show you this older vintage bottle of the EDT. This is very, very old. I think it's from the, I don't know, maybe the 70s. I don't know. I do have a mini review for it, and maybe I'll check there and post it on a video. Just put it there. I can't remember. This is gorgeous. Even I can smell it on the neck of the bottle. It's just so gorgeous. This is a fragrance that's, I didn't know what chypres were back then, as I said, but all I smelled was this metallic, audacious, very daring smell with some stylized flowers that were very sharp. It's like the smell of thorns and forest floor. Now imagine this, it's like a scene out of a fairy tale in a fragrance that's kind of has shoulder pads, because it's a fragrance that was born in that era. But yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous scent. I wish because what I did was, because I loved Magie Noire so much, I used to search for a male marketed fragrance that kind of had Magie Noire vibes, and I wasn't very successful, but thanks to that, I did discover, come to discover many, and to love many male marketed chypres. And yes, that's because of Magie Noire. And now I know better. And the last fragrance for today, gosh, they were so many, is Eau Sauvage, the EDT. This is a fragrance that's oh gosh, it's even gone from paper. I guess this doesn't last long. Everybody knows that, but as I said many times, it's not longevity that makes a fragrance good. In my opinion, it's the way it smells. This is the first fragrance that, or the fragrance that made me appreciate older perfumery, the eau de cologne architecture in a fragrance, which is citrus, aromatic. You know the deal. I'm not gonna go there. You know how this smells. This is very citrusy. It's very aromatic. This has lots of herbs in it. It has basil, has this sweet hedione in the middle there. It's just gorgeous. It has it all. It's very complex. This is Rudnitska. But what it was interesting to me when I was maybe smelling, maybe getting to know Eau Sauvage, is I was starting to see some common parts between fragrances. I was hinting at the Chypre architecture, and I was seeing commonalities between Magie Noire and Eau Sauvage and Kouros and Obsession for Men. And this was, of course, the vetiver and the oak moss, but mostly the oak moss, because this is what I love about Chypres mostly. And this is also one of the reasons why I think the Eau de Cologne collection from Guerlain, all 5 of them, are that's the best collection of Eau de Colognes we have today, period. They are just gorgeously done, and this is why through Eau Sauvage I came to appreciate the masterfulness, the way they are just created. So yeah, there will always be a place in my collection for Eau Sauvage. This bottle is mostly gone, but it has been this way for years because it's just so hard to finish for some reason, because I hardly wear it. I wear it mostly in the summertime, or mostly when when I miss it. But I do reach out for it. But I have to find a 200 milliliter bottle because I need it. I need it. So yes, there you have it. This was my perfume roots. As you can see, my beginnings are in mainstream perfumery, and I think a thing that I still consider to be true even today is that designer perfumery is the one that had the majority of innovations and originality, and it is because of mainstream perfumery and designer perfumery is that we have the fragrance market as we have it today. Niche perfumery, I'm not bashing niche perfumery, but niche perfumery came to be as a reaction to the greed of these conglomerate companies such as LVMH, where creativity and even the quality of the fragrances were severely diminished over the years. But to this day, I appreciate niche perfumery for their originality and creativity wherever I can find it, because it's not a given. There's lots of niche houses out there that they're not worth my time, but their references in niche perfumery are clearly in designer fragrances, and I think that you cannot appreciate and understand niche without the knowledge of designer fragrances. So I hope you found this video useful, and I encourage you to please share your stories, because I'm pretty sure most of my viewers have this or their own origin story about how it all started for you, and do share that in the comments. What are the fragrances that set you up to collecting or even loving and appreciating fragrances? And with that being said, I hope you have a lovely evening, and fragrance creates memories, and may yours be happy.